everyone, welcome to Dice on Ice. My name is Megan, and welcome to episode 22 of Curse of Strahd, Chasing Familiar Faces. In our last episode, they met the, possibly the next Baroness of Vallaki, the Lady Watcher, who was many things. Intimidating might have been one of them, probably was one of them. And essentially, the Lady Watcher told them that they needed to deal with a problem, and that problem happened to be that their doppelgangers, or their seeming doppelgangers, have been causing absolute chaos in Vallaki. The townspeople are very angry because obviously they think it's these newcomers, and them being newcomers had already raised a lot of attention, and so their faces would have been easily recognized. Now, the Vixen has been, voluntold, offered to help these people with protection, as well as helping them find and dispatch of these doppelgangers. Now, they already know that one has been killed. The Eli doppelganger was beheaded by the Vixen after the Vixen had succumbed to the disease and the pestilence that this evil Eli had rained down on some of the town. And that's where we will begin. We'll begin directly after you had your conversation with the Lady Watcher, and you are now outside of her house with the Vixen. So what do we plan to do?
I think we were going to try and head to the Baron's house before it was ransacked by looters, protesters, and so forth to see if we could find anything that could aid us with hunting these things. I actually meant to ask you, Vixen, were you part of the group, the force, whatever you want to call it, that defeated the Eli doppelganger, out of curiosity?
I was the one that drew my blade across that thing's throat, yes.
Gotcha. It's probably going to be a bit of an odd question, and I think I already know the answer, but I figured I'd ask it. And we can walk and talk, obviously. Did this thing, I mean, it didn't look quite like Eli, like there were some small differences, but did it seem, it behaved like he did, right? Or it sort of moved like he did? I'm asking really to get a sense of if you think it had the same capabilities Eli has, the actual Eli has, if that makes sense.
Yes. As far as I could tell, he used the same voice, the same mannerisms, the same actions as you. And she points, she gestures to Eli. But he was wearing a mask.
Well, it's downright unsettling.
Well, and what's even more unsettling is the thought that if my duplicate is in the Church of St. Andrew's and it possesses the same abilities I do, then we will be facing something with the ability to cast spells. Something we might want to look for in the Baron's household then are there's certain potions that can make you less susceptible to certain kinds of harm, fire, ice, lightning. I use a lot of fire. These abilities I have grant me the ability to control fire in certain amounts. I mean, I don't know if the Baron would have something like that, but it might be something to keep an eye out for. Just something I was thinking about.
Well, it's certainly a practical and rational approach.
My specialties. And actually, Vixen, are you, to be honest with you, it would probably make the most sense for us to go into the Baron's estate, see what we can find. I know it's late, we won't take up too much time. Maybe you and your men could stay outside to make sure we don't get mobbed, and then we'll meet you when we're done, and we'll all head back to the Lady Watcher's house. Is that acceptable?
Yes, I think so. Although I will have some of my men as well. We also have some items we would like to procure from the Baron on behest of Lady Watcher.
Anything in particular, just in case we stumble upon it?
Uh, the Lady Watcher requested that it be under the highest discretion. I am sorry.
Is it something that we would know it if we saw it? Again, in the event that we were to stumble upon it. Or these items.
I don't think so.
Hmm.
And she just kind of, she stays very, like, vague and very quiet. You had asked why I wanted to know the color of that wolf's eyes. Did you see it again?
Correct. No. I was just curious. Especially when you mentioned that this is apparently a vampiric high elf. I've never read of any such thing before. Never even heard of such a thing before. But no, I was simply curious. You seemed very intent on the color of the golden wolf's eyes when you first spoke to Corla about it.
Yes, I am quite interested in many of the creatures that are here. Actually, I would have one favor to ask. I will be with you, of course, when hopefully we dispatch of your whatever these things are. I would very much like to keep the heads if I could.
The heads of the doppelgangers?
Yes.
Why?
Well, they are a curiosity to me. You don't know what they are? None of my other companions knew what they were. So they're very interesting, and they would prove to be quite fruitful, I think.
It also would prove that they are not us as well, as we would still have our heads, I'm hoping.
Could I make some kind of... Oh, go ahead, Jake.
I was just going to say that's the plan. That we would maintain our own heads.
Could Fel make some kind of arcana check to see if there's anything that could be done with the heads magically to, I don't know, reanimate them, to somehow use them against us in any way? I know it's very vague, but...
Sure. Are you just trying to figure out what they can be done arcanely, or what they can be done...
Basically.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, purely from a magic standpoint.
Sure, okay, yep.
Well, first roll of the night, and that's a 3 plus 3, so that's a 6.
So I would say that just innately, you would know that there are some, maybe, there's something that they could do with it, but they could probably do it with any part of the body. You have read about reanimating dead, but that is, or talking with them, that is quite high level, though, in your experience. But other than that, you really aren't sure.
Right. Well, I suppose if you just want them for proof, that makes sense, though it is a little macabre, but I suppose we shouldn't be surprised as far as that goes.
It's not that unheard of for people hunting monsters of any kind to maintain some sort of trophy as both proof of their kill and bragging rights, to be perfectly honest.
Fair enough.
Well, let's just say that there are all sorts of creatures in Barovia, if you have or have not seen, and it would do us well, us more civilized people, to know what we're up against. So, if, say, I run into my doppelganger, I would be more prepared.
They'll just make an insight check on that to see if that's really why she's after these heads. This got me paranoid AF.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's much better than a 3. That is a 13 plus 0, so that's a straight 13.
You can feel her curiosity pouring from her in the same way that she seems to just genuinely want to know how things work and the nature of things. She shows the same amount of kind of, I guess, almost scientific enthusiasm as she was about the wolf, asking all these questions and so on.
Understood.
As you are all walking, you notice that the town has cleared quite quickly. Some of the tents have even been taken down. Some of the posters have been torn apart. There are a few people around, but the merchants have all gone away. It seems as though your conversation with Lady Watcher, either her, because you do see some of the city guards walking around, though they would not have received any orders from the Baron, quite obviously. They seem to be working in an organized manner, meaning that probably someone had given them an order. You also see, actually, I need everyone to make me a perception check, please.
All right. Perception.
The X.
13.
8.
17.
Corla, you, as always, your eyes are your perception is quite high. You're quite aware of your surroundings, and you see other people with that are kind of done up in guard type uniform, but they're not guards. You can quite see that they're still wearing these absurd jester uniforms, but their colors are very different. And you notice that when you were fighting the Watcher's guards. So you think that maybe some of these guards that are kind of walking around and kind of almost ushering people into their homes and taking down some of these tarps are personal guards of some of the noble families.
It seems like no one is wasting time here. People are leaving. People are, I think, anxious and setting up their powers.
Which is why it's probably a good idea for us to do this as quickly as possible. And Fel will look to everybody else. I don't know if you think it's worth splitting into groups, but we might cover more ground that way, spend less time out in the street. It is already very late.
I do not recommend any of us go anywhere without all of us present.
Oh, I meant in the house. I'm not saying right now, obviously.
Inside, outside, I think we need to stick together.
It's fine by me. Just a suggestion.
You can see also that the Vixen is kind of trying, and you also see that there's a couple others who wear the same pendant that has joined your group, kind of flanked you a little bit to create some sort of protection. You don't see anyone outwardly jeering, but you do see a lot of very nasty looks, uneasiness, but the Vixen is trying her best to lead you down more corridors and alleys and less on the main thoroughfare of Vallaki. You get there, and you can already see a crowd forming at the door of the Baron's house. You see people dressed in finery, as well as people who have soot and dirt on them. The poorer are there as well, all trying to clamor to get in. And you can see a mix of the lycanthropes and lady watchers, guards, trying their best to keep them back. But you are not alone coming up to this house. As you can see, other people are coming up as well as the crowd is growing. The vixen just kind of pauses and this is not this is going much quicker than I thought.
Then we need to get in as quickly as possible. Is there a way that your people can clear us a path, or is there a back way into the Baron's estate that you're aware of?
Not that I am aware of. This is why it was so hard to get in the first place. Yes, everything is so fortified. I'm not sure. And she would let out a whistle, and you would see birds, crows and ravens, just a few beginning to come in and just kind of squawk and carry on overhead. And you can see that the people who are coming up are a bit more hesitant, giving you guys kind of this gap in between the crowd coming up that you're kind of stuck in and the crowd at the door. She kind of looks to you guys and one thing you will find is the people here are very superstitious. They hold ravens and crows in high esteem, or I guess they are too afraid to kill them. The rest we will have to push our way through. Please try not to get killed. And she is going to like start pushing her way into the crowd. So,
okay.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, Fel would just look to the others in her group and just say, so I might be able to potentially make myself and one other person invisible while we try to do this. That might help. But I can't do that for everybody. Coralie, I imagine you could probably sneak through fairly easily, but maybe Eli or Jean.
I may have a way.
All right.
I would think that maybe Eli would be best person to be invisible, seeing as it seems that he or his evil twin was the most active.
Makes sense.
I'm not. I don't like this.
Well, obviously not.
I don't have a better idea.
This is a bad situation. I think let's try this. If nothing else, it will minimize the chances that we get stabbed in this crowd of people. Give me a moment. And Fel will pull out the little Vistani tree branch wand, kind of focus for a moment. I imagine for a few seconds nothing happens, and then very slowly she starts to fade from view again, like dust being blown away in the wind. And then she would reach out with her fading hand and touch you, Eli, and then she's going to burn her last third level spell slot to cast invisibility on you as well, as you would just sort of fade from view. Right. Let's go.
Yeah, I definitely don't like this.
It's magic. It'll be fine.
So, Fel and Eli, you guys are gonna just try and like weave your way through the crowd.
If possible, like maybe following behind some of the Society of the Golden Wolf members, if there are any of them trying to move towards the front, kind of following in their wake, effectively.
Having never been invisible, there's a moment where I'm immediately looking for Fel, trying to follow her. And though nobody can see it, I'm just sort of spinning in place and trying to figure out how this is going to work. And then, yeah, I'm just going to try to dodge and weave and make my way through without getting trampled or having to deck somebody.
Okay, and Corla, what are you just going to try and sneak your way through, or do you have another plan?
No, I will try to sneak. I will have hood up and keep to shadows, of which I'm sure there's plenty in place with no sun.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, sneak.
And Jean, what about you?
Jean, seeing that everyone else has kind of left her behind, she will find kind of a corner away from prying eyes as she takes a step and vanishes into a cloud of mist and will drift using the spell gaseous form to float on the wind and find an entrance that way.
Very cool. Actually, I have never interacted with gaseous form. How far can you go? Or
It's a concentration spell that lasts for an hour. I turn into a misty cloud. I only have a flying speed of 10 feet. I can occupy and enter spaces of other things. I am resistant to damage. I can pass through small cracks, narrow openings, and mere cracks. And I can't fall, and I can remain hovering. But otherwise, I can't talk or manipulate objects like a misty cloud could. Or, like,
yeah.
I just turn into a cloud of mist and float up.
Okay. So I would say that you could actually probably just like slip in the closed door, right in there. So all right, everyone but Jean is going to need to make me a stealth check. Fel and Eli, you can do so at advantage.
Hooray! Ooh, those are two really good rolls. That is a 21 for Fel.
That was a big sigh.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, that was what I call a fat guy sigh. It had nothing to do with the dice rolls.
Okay.
Sometimes I forget that my mic is on. Stealth. All right. At advantage, that's a 13.
I got a 17.
Okay. Ooh, all right. So the people do seem quite preoccupied. You can hear yelling and screaming, demanding to see the Baron's body. Some not believing he's dead. Some calling for Victor, who they believe to possibly be the new Baron. Some calling for other noble families. Some calling for the Lady Watcher. You just hear it is just absolute chaos right now. They don't know what's happening, but they all just want to get in to the Baron's place to find their own answers. You can even see that you can smell the scent of smoke beginning to form as somebody has put a wooden effigy, had dressed it up in the jester's uniform of a guard and lit it on fire and is now holding it up in the air amongst the other crowd as things are just becoming an uproar. And as you go in, Fel and Eli, you will see the opportunity to go in the door just behind the Vixen, as well as you, Corla. And once you're all inside and the door is closed, Jean, do you come out of your gaseous form right away, or do you?
I think that she would actually, in this form, kind of give a cursory scan of the building, just make sure there's no one else really there to surprise us. As she's able to concentrate for up to an hour on this spell, so might as well milk it while it lasts. I think I wouldn't take the full hour, of course, unless this building is expansive. But she'll definitely just kind of drift from hallway to room to hallway, making sure there's nothing else really of danger and note.
Sure. You go around, you see some other members of the Golden Wolf kind of wandering about. You do, in one of the rooms, see that a few boys, younger, have gotten in somehow to this place and are kind of rummaging around in the stock room area. They seem to be stealing some of or taking some of the bread, stuffing their shirts and with the meat and just trying to take as much as they can food wise. But other than that, I don't think you would have time to go upstairs before they get here. So that's all you can really see in your cursory float around.
Yeah. And then she will reoperate when the others make their entrance.
Felon Eli, would you? Well, I don't know if Eli has much control over the invisibility, so.
That is a great question. I am not sure.
I mean, I could attack somebody.
Yeah, I mean, you could attack
But-
or
But I don't know. Eli doesn't know that.
right. I think Fel would actually keep it active for the time being. I mean, we have it for an hour. We might as well use it just in case. So this disembodied voice from nowhere would just say, "All right, so I guess we will reconvene here in the foyer or in what an hour or so. Is that going to be sufficient time, Vixen?"
Yes, that will be sufficient.
All right. I guess where does Jean go? And then I imagine we kind of see the gaseous cloud coming towards us. Huh.
She would reveal the misty cloud to you. She'd probably like reoperate in like a closet or a room and then kind of step out.
Gotcha. Right. How did you get in there?
I found a way.
Cryptic as always. Great. All right. And then Fel is going to actually start moving towards the dining hall, where we, not too long ago, had a terrible, terrible dinner with the Baron of Vlaki.
Yeah, and you still see very much the remnants of that fight. Though the bodies have been cleared, you see the blood, the dried blood trails, the food that has spilled everywhere, maybe some of the tables and chairs overturned. And you
Are
see
there
the
any
doors.
society members in here?
A few, yes.
And so I guess Fel would sort of, seeing these other people in here, would sort of gesture for the others to kind of gather around her and just say, I don't know if there's going to, and she'll lower her voice, I don't know if there's actually going to be anything under this statue. If there is, I am hesitant to let the Vixen and her people see it because they seem to be so in step with the Lady Watcher. Ideally, it would be wonderful if we could get these people to clear the room for just a moment. No, she's still invisible. I imagine
Right.
she'll tap everybody to get their attention. Let's go to the dining hall and then have that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, by a few, I literally mean like there's probably like, one or two or three.
Or maybe one of us could distract them for a moment. I mean, I don't know how loud this is going to be. I don't even know if there's anything actually there, but I know in my dream there was something on the base of the statue that could be manipulated and it moved. And that's what I'm trying to get. I think we do that, and then, and again, she's still talking in a low voice. That try and get maybe the spell book, and even though she's invisible, she'll glance over in Jean's direction. The spell book from Victor, maybe one of his teleportation circle sketches, and then we search for potions of resistance, potions of healing, weapons, anything else. That's what I believe we should do. But if anyone else has any suggestions, by all means.
It sounds as good of a plan as we've got. Let's go check out the statue.
So again, is there anything anybody can do to get these people to either look somewhere else or be somewhere else while we do this? I mean, I might be able to do some things. The only problem is if I do, it's going to, this invisibility will end. And it's useful to have for the time being, at least.
Well, How far away we need them?
If we can get them out of this room, I mean, there's only 2 or 3 of them.
All right, give me a minute.
All right.
All right, I'm going to move a couple rooms away. I don't know what that means. What room I would be moving to. And I'm going to. This is going to be tricky for me. Luckily, I know where everything is on my person. As I withdraw a, I'm going to take 2 of my regular pepper box bullets, and in this other room, I'm going to open one of them up, and I'm going to create a little pile of gunpowder underneath this other one. I probably need 3 bullets for this. And I'm going to make a little trail with the third one. So basically, I'm using a couple bullets to create a pile of gunpowder that I've nestled a bullet in, pointing straight up, and then make a little trail, and then using my tinder box, I'm going to light it and move away and start heading back. Hopefully, this will ignite, burn quickly, cause a small explosion enough to draw their attention.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's really cool. So, I won't have you roll anything. I think that's really dope. So I'm just going to say that you walk away, and a few moments later, literally seconds, you hear this pop sound, this very loud, probably, and you know from your experience with this kind of stuff, probably didn't do as much damage, but it sure sounded like it did. And you see the these lycanthropes go into the room where you had made the noise, and now they're like yelling and calling and, what was that? Is everyone okay? And you are now have the room to yourself.
Slipping back into that room, I just say, all right, I don't know how long they'll stay away.
That was very well done. And Fel, probably the moment she heard Eli's heavy footfalls moving away, went over to the statue. I think if I'm remembering the vision dream correctly, there's like a certain place on the base of the statue where the wolf pressed. So Fel will try to replicate that. I'm happy to roll whatever you want.
Yeah, roll me investigation with advantage, please.
Roger that. Okay. Oh, well, that was a 6 and a natural 20
Perfect.
for a 20.
So it's almost as if you have this moment where you are seeing through this wolf's eyes, and you see this statue in front of you, and you notice right away the seam along the one corner of the statue. It looks like the corner of the bust. It's kind of a bust shaped of some nobleman you don't recognize, and you can, if you were to press, you can see that you can press ever so slightly on this corner. It looks to be some sort of hidden button.
About how long would you say it's been, Megan, since Fel cast that invisibility? Just out of curiosity, like time-wise.
Oh, like 10 minutes.
Perfect. Yeah, so then she will lightly press the button and then kind of step away. I imagine if there's like anybody immediately behind her, you would just feel this invisible arm sort of pushing you back slightly, just because she doesn't necessarily know how this is gonna happen.
You press it, and it doesn't take that much pressure for you to press it down, and you hear a click. And at first, you don't hear or see anything else, just the click of the button. But then you see the seams behind the tapestry as in your dream, and the ever so slight indentation of the part of the wall showing that there is some sort of door there.
All right, so we don't have a whole lot of time before they come back. I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure what's going to be on the other side of this door. I mean, I told you all what I saw, weird growing trees and ruined battlements and my father's corpse. So just be prepared for anything, I guess, like we tried to be anyway. And she's going to move towards the door and try to open it.
You push it open, and with the ease of a door that is quite, that seems to be quite looked after, though you can see immediately, and you can also smell by the sudden rush of stale air that flows over you, that this door has not been, no one has been in this passageway for years. The smell of must and mold and probably something decaying, you can smell wafting up, and you can see the cobwebs just covering the roof, or sorry, the ceiling of this little hallway that proceeds. You can see that it proceeds to have a stairway that goes down.
So Fel's going to kind of peek into that little corridor that's been revealed. Is there any other like button or mechanism in place to maybe reset this that she can see?
Not that you can see immediately, but you do see a torch sconce on immediately the other side. That's the only thing you can see.
Gotcha. All right. So I guess does anybody want to take point on this, or?
I got you. Unless Corla wants to.
I was going to say Corla's proven that she's quite skilled with these sort of things.
I can go first. I mean, I cannot even see you two, so
Right.
It would be like I was going first anyway.
That's true. Well said, Corla.
And with that, she will head down. She's got dark vision too, so that
okay
helps.
So yeah, you all go through. Does anyone take the unlit torch from the sconce, or do you guys just leave it?
I have no need for torch.
I imagine that Fel, just because, you know, she reads a lot, she's probably read her fair share of like just the Faerunian equivalent of like mystery novels, basically, like, you know, epic stories and poems and whatnot involving like strange contraptions, gnomish devices and whatnot. She will just sort of, being the kind of the nerd that she is, just sort of pluck the unlit torch and just kind of hold it for a moment, expecting like something to happen. Yes, elvish gothic horror tales.
In fact, your childish fantasy books do pay off, and the door begins to close.
So she's going to immediately put the unlit torch back in the sconce and see what happens.
It stops closing, but it doesn't reopen. It just kind of stops closing.
Perfect. And then she's going to take the torch out, let it close all the way. Well, this is going great so far. Go ahead, Corla. And she'll hang on to the unlit torch.
You, for anyone who doesn't have dark vision, you are plunged into immediate and pitch blackness, the kind of which perhaps I believe Jean is the only one that
I
does
think
not have.
Yeah.
Fel?
Oh. Half elves get dark vision.
Yeah.
Wait,
just a human. No. I'm a human.
A human?
So
At least I
Jean,
was the human.
Jean, I would imagine that you have seen this kind of darkness before. A few times, probably traveling in caves to get to flank the enemy or something like that. But it is a darkness that you have not seen in a while. There's absolutely no light, and you can't even see the person in front of you, or even a few inches from your face. Are you in the back, or where are you in this group?
I feel like Jean would not be in the back nor the front, relying on both people behind her and in front of her to help guide her down this way. perhaps it's just like a hand on the shoulder or something.
Now that the door is closed, is there really any reason for us to be in total darkness?
I mean, we don't know what we're gonna find down here. There might be something down here.
Well, that's exactly my point. We don't exactly want to blind Sean
That's
if
true.
we encounter something.
I guess we could light a torch.
I have hooded lantern, so we can make it dark when we need to. So
There you go.
I will light my hooded lantern.
Okay. You do so, and Jean immediately, and everyone else who had dark vision now, you can see in color now, unless of this monochrome dim light. And Jean, you can see the stairway descending down now. And Corla, you begin to descend. It is so quiet, eerily quiet. Even when you were in the Baron's room, there was the murmuring of the members of the Golden Wolf. There was the creaking of a stove, the sound of a fireplace still lit, the wind whistling through cracks in the stonework. But here you hear nothing but the sounds of your own breathing and the slow tapping of footsteps down, down, down. You must descend, you figure, probably 50 feet down the spiraling staircase. Seems to have no end, and eventually, though, it does. At a landing, a small landing, where for some reason there is a painting. Old, decrepit. You see the wood through the paint on the back, and it is of a woman. A woman, Corla, you recognize as because seems as though you are looking into a mirror. The clothes are different, much finer. You're wearing extreme finery. Your hair is piled up in these braids and plaits, fine, fine pearls interwoven into your hair, and you can tell that this fashion is quite old. It's from quite a long time ago, but the characteristics of your face is absolutely uncanny.
I would shine the light a little bit more on the painting as I'm looking at this, and I'd be looking for. Sometimes there was like a name plaque on the bottom, and I would look down to see if that was there. And if I see nothing, I would almost like quickly turn the light away from the painting.
You see that there is, in fact, a name. However, the first name has been scratched out in a fury, a fervor almost, scratched out again and again and again till the wood is gouged out. But the last name you can see. The last name is not your own, but still you see Velikovich. The last name of the Baron, the former Baron.
This, I think I would reach out and I would be touching with the scratched name. And then reading the last name, I would turn and look at Jean and just kind of catch her eye first. without saying anything.
This is odd.
I do.
Uncanny. Looking as you use the lantern to kind of reveal this face of yours. It's like, this can't be right.
I do not know how I feel about this.
Do you remember where you came from before you were here in Barovia?
Yes, of course I do. Do you not?
Well, no. Where were you from? We don't know.
Well, I grew up in a place called Loudwater, but not. I was never this rich. Or this old.
Did you have any maybe distant relations that you were aware of? Might have been adventurers, maybe? Mercenaries? Travelers?
I do not know. My mother and I were alone for most of my life, and when she was killed,
Oh,
I was on my own. So if I have family, I do not know what they are, where they are. I do not even care. They did not care about us, so I do not care about them. But this is not me.
Jean looks at this painting, looking for the telltale signs of elven ears in the painting. Are they there? Or are they distinctly lacking?
No, they are there. Very similar to Corla's.
If you haven't noticed, there haven't been any elves at all in this place. It
true.
seems almost impossible.
The
Then
Vixen
this-
did mention that, actually, that elves and dwarves and whatnot aren't really common here.
So this trick, maybe? Like everything else?
Seems like an elaborate trick.
At first I thought I was seeing things, but you guys are seeing the same things. So I do not know.
Is this a dead end room?
No, you can see that there are stairs. This is just a landing. You can see that the stairs continue downwards.
I'm past the point of being surprised at what I find in this place anymore.
Fair. Well, I mean, go ahead.
We should probably keep moving. We got
should.
a lot to do.
We should. All right. If nothing else, we can just kind of keep this in the back of our minds. And who knows, Carla, maybe you had a relative that ended up here somehow.
I feel sorry for her if I did.
I do as well. Yeah, let's keep going.
And with that, she would continue down, down, down.
You keep walking down into this almost never-ending staircase. You, in fact, have been walking so long, Fel and Eli, you are beginning to worry that your invisibility may run out soon. But eventually, you get to the bottom. The stench at this point is become so unbearable. The stench of rot, the stench of mold, mildew, of age is strong down here. And you can see that this stairwell opens up into a long corridor with small rooms that these rooms and with doors that are on either side of you going down, and you can see that crisscrossing these small buildings, almost these small little rectangular walls, are more hallways, kind of latticing themselves in between these squares, and you may recognize this as a crypt. Catacombs. Places where the wealthy are put to rest.
What did you envision when you saw this place, Phil?
And I think Fel is quiet for a moment as she's sort of peering through the darkness, and she has noticed since she gained these magical abilities that her ability to see in the dark has grown immensely. With her, I think it's 120 feet. Yeah, 120 feet of dark vision, Megan. Can she see like the far end of this hallway with all these branching chambers to see if there is I think there was a sarcophagus effectively, or a coffin at that far end with her father's name on it? Can she see something similar to that?
You do not see anything like that at the bottom. You can, in fact, with that vision, you can see the end of the catacombs as you see the far wall.
And Fel would speak at that point. So when I was down here, well, when I saw what was down here with the wolf, I went down this hallway, which I can see the end here, and at the end there was the coffin, sarcophagus, whatever you want to call it, with the desiccated corpse of my father, who was alive when I, came to this place, this land. But I don't see a coffin at the end of the hallway like I did in the vision. But that doesn't mean there is not one in here. These are obviously catacombs of some kind.
Fel, with your vision, can you make me a perception check, please?
I can. Well, that's a natural one.
Okay.
She's probably too freaked out by memories of that vision with the golden wolf and what you saw down here before. I mean, if nothing else, it's good that we know these are down here. Do we want to try and investigate further? I mean, I don't see why not, but at the same time, this could be quite extensive. These vaults could go on for miles.
I have no desire to open up tombs right now, but
right.
I think it might be worth going to where you saw in your vision, and maybe there is some clue.
That's fair. We can do that. I can see that from here, so we could do that, and then we could head back up. I don't know. Do any of you have a way to check to see if there's anybody on the other side of the door when we get back up there? I know there's magical means, of course. Eli, don't you have like a mirror or something? Can you well, I don't know if you could do that with that door, but.
No, if it doesn't have any kind of decent gap, I'm not going to be able to see with my mirror.
I mean, as awful as this sounds, if things do go totally to shite, if we can keep this place secret, this might be a refuge for us, however temporary. You know what I mean? If we can keep this from other folk. But let's go to the end of the hallway here. And Fel will actually she's actually going to take a minute to, because I realize she's still wearing the finery from the Baron's party. While she's invisible, she's going to switch back to her long sleeve tunic, her doublet, and her breeches, and then she will head down the corridor. I imagine the invisibility is probably starting to wear off by this point anyway. But she'll go to that place where she saw the sarcophagus in the vision.
Perfect. As you are going towards the end, Fel, you can see, and you see this first, but the rest of you do see it eventually as you're getting closer. You see that there is something written on the wall, on this far wall.
Does it appear to be in a language that Fel would know? Is it common, or?
It is in common, actually.
Oh, okay.
And you see the words "help us" written in red.
Oh. Do you all see that?
Help who? Does it look fresh, the red, or like? Corla's going to touch it. Reach out and...
It is not wet. It is. It's dry. Suddenly,
Yeah.
Corla, the lantern sputters and goes out. Everyone gets used to their dark vision but Jean, who is suddenly plunged into darkness. A cold breeze passes you, though this one is, you notice, is different because it is fresh. It smells of the air, which is probably a relief to you being down here.
I'm immediately looking around, seeing if I can see any signs of anything approaching.
Make me either an investigation or perception, and anyone can do this if they are looking around.
It's a 10 for perception.
An 11.
I rolled super bad.
Jean gets a negative 30.
Okay, you guys don't notice anything. You can, but you can feel that breeze.
Hello? Hello? Is there someone there?
Everyone all right? Eli?
Jean?
Jean?
Yeah, it's
I'm
pitch
here.
black for me.
All right. Corla, can we maybe try to get the lantern lit again, or a torch or something?
Oh, yes, of course. And Carla would then, because she obviously didn't think about it before because this is kind of spooky, but that she would set to trying to relight the lantern.
You do so, and as soon as you light it, who is in the back of this group? Who is the last?
Sure. That'll be me.
You suddenly, Eli, feel a hand clasp over your mouth, and another hand, cold, over your chest as you begin to become grappled by this thing, and it begins to try and drag you backwards.
Immediately. And trying to struggle against it, whatever it is.
I think my first reaction would be to, as soon as it was lit and hearing some sort of muffled sounds coming from Eli, would be to turn the lantern towards him.
Eli, I need you to make opposing strength, please. See if you can break this. Corla, as you shine the light towards Eli, what you see is an emaciated human with arms that are way too long, limbs that stretch up. It is about 8 feet, crouched, almost hunchback, trying to, it lowers its arms, trying to drag this dwarf away, which is very small compared to it. It's razor sharp teeth are inches from Eli's ear. Its beady black obsidian eyes look up at the light suddenly, and it opens its mouth wider than Eli's head as it screams. And I need everyone to roll for initiative, please.
I rolled a 22 to break free.
Damn.
Perfect. So you are able to break away, as I think this thing is probably surprised by the light. And for that quick moment, it loosens its grip, and you take advantage of that, Eli, and you're able to escape.
All right.
Okay. All right, Jean.
Yeah, she's turned around to see this wicked creature now illuminated by the lamp. Or is it still? Is the lamp's not snuffed out? Is it?
No. Corla had
Okay,
lit
yeah.
it and turned it, and
Yeah.
this thing is in full view.
Yeah, perfect. I wanted to just make sure. Yeah, she's gonna quickly draw out that war pick and step in front of Corla to kind of just, I imagine it's a bit crowded in here, and just bring it down with a wicked blow, which is 2 strikes against it I can make. Seeing this creature for what it really is, a thing that should be killed. And that's gonna be, goodness gracious, a 10 to hit and then a 19 to hit.
The 19 hits.
Yeah. It's going to do 11 points of piercing damage, which is silvered, if that matters at all.
In fact, it does.
Mm-hmm. That was my action, and I don't have any bonus actions, so that's my turn.
Okay. All right. That'll bring us to Corla.
Orla, seeing this monstrosity right there behind Eli, doesn't hesitate. She's got the lantern in one hand, but her other hand goes to her belt and pulls out that dagger that Eli has just so lovely made for her, that silvered dagger. And she is going to, I think, probably go to the other side. Jean went to one side. She's going to the other side to get it. Oh, that is a 13 to hit.
That will not hit.
Okay. I think that the lantern is kind of throws off her balance a little bit, and the creature is just that little bit too quick, and her blade goes towards it but misses.
Yeah. As you try to hit it, you can see that it almost shifts in and out of sight for a moment. It's visible, then visible, invisible, then visible again, almost as if it hadn't moved at all. But it still avoids your attack, an attack you were sure that was going to hit. So this thing now is kind of stepped back a little bit from Eli as he lunged forward away, but it's going to lunge at you, Eli. Its wicked claws outstretched. It's screaming into your ears. Okay, that is going to be an 18 and a dirty 20 to hit.
Those will both hit.
Okay, you are going to take... You're going to take 22 points of slashing damage.
Ouch.
As it just rakes across you, rakes across your body at lightning speed. And Eli, I need you for me to make a Constitution saving throw as well.
I can do that. 9.
you can feel this thing, and you look down and you can see it's you can see that where it had raked across you, where that skin of yours had been caught by this thing's claws, you see black, almost as if you were burned, ash, almost as if the wound has become infected. And I need you to roll me a d4, please.
This isn't a poison effect, is it?
It is, well, it is, kind of, but it's different. It's not, yeah.
It's not poison.
No, not poison.
Okay, because I have advantage against poison. That's why I was asking.
Okay, yeah, no.
Nope, that's fine. D4.
Yep.
2.
Okay, thank you. All right, Fel.
So I imagine as Fel's watching this thing brutalize Eli, that she just completely loses focus on what she was trying to do. She has the Vistani wand pointed at this thing, but she sees the wounds blackening across his torso, and the words of the spell that she was trying to speak just fall from her lips, as unfortunately with the 12, the Chaos Bolt spell does not go off. And she's just staring wide-eyed at Eli, sweat dripping down her face. What little color she has in her face just draining away, and that is it for her turn, unfortunately.
All right, Eli.
What kind of space are we in where we're having this fight? How big is this area?
It's about 10 feet across the hallway till you get to a door, and then you can see that each hallway is about 20 feet apart, separated by these square buildings. So it's kind of like a square lattice shape.
All right. I think just with this happening so fast and in such a tight space, I think that I would not try to draw my great sword or one of my melee weapons. I'm going to quickly reach for righteous indignation, and I'm going to pop off a couple shots. Now you mentioned it has long arms, but I'm assuming it's like right up on me within 5 feet, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to use my adept marksman and use a deadeye shot to cancel out the disadvantage
Perfect.
on the close range shot. So I can just make a straight roll as I shoot at it for, that's a 13 for the
13 to
first
hit.
shot.
Will not hit.
Yeah. So I imagine just from the pure brutality of that attack, I fire the weapon a little too early as I draw it. And it sort of has that it almost immediately dies from the close confines of the interior space. Though it is quite loud, I'm going to take my second shot at disadvantage.
Okay.
Oh, of course that one's going to hit. I rolled a 17 and a 16.
Perfect.
So that's going to be a 24 to hit.
That hits.
I guess I don't mean to be presumptive that a 24 hits, but so that's going to do 5 points of piercing damage, and that is a silver bullet, if that makes a difference.
It does. Thank you.
Because I had loaded silver bullets into that.
Perfect.
Let's see. So that's 2 of those down.
And is that your turn?
Let me see what I got. Now, man, you know what? No, it's not my turn. I'm gonna action surge.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take 2 more shots, and I will take them at disadvantage since that worked out so well. A nat 20 and a 16. So another
Perfect.
24 to hit.
Perfect. Yep.
This time it's max damage, which is again with a silver bullet. That's 13 points of piercing damage. The first shot.
Okay.
The second shot, or actually the fourth shot, two 16s. These are my favorite dice now. So 24 again,
Perfect.
and 11 more points of piercing damage. So that was 2 more silver bullets down. I just want to make sure I'm tracking this appropriately. And I have one more thing. I am going to bonus action. As I sort of try to pull my leathers and my robe that are coated in blood in this sort of desiccated, burnt-looking flesh, and just try to see if I can't staunch the bleeding some, and I'm in a second wind.
Okay.
To heal 11 points of 11 points of health.
Perfect.
Now my turn is done.
Perfect. And that will bring us back up to the top with Jean.
Just embedding this war pick into this undead flesh. This can be a 17 to hit and a 13 to hit.
What was the first one? Sorry, the 13 does not.
17. Okay.
17.
17
does,
though.
Yep.
It's gonna be 8 points of silver piercing damage.
Okay. Thank you.
And she'll just keep pressing the line here, making sure that those in the back are not being attacked by this creature, but otherwise doing nothing else.
Perfect. Right, Corla.
Corla is standing there with John, trying to attack this thing. I'm going to lash out with my dagger. I've got to put this lantern down because I cannot hit anything. That is a 10 to hit, so no.
Okay. Right. This thing lets out the most agonizing scream. You feel as though your eardrums are going to burst. And I need everyone, please, for me to make an intelligence saving throw, please.
Ooh, I do not like that.
Nope. I got a 9.
Now my dice roll's good. I got a 19.
14 for fail.
I also got a 14 minus 10. So I got a 4.
Minus 10.
You have a minus 10?
No, I'm just saying I got a 14 minus 10.
Okay.
That's confusing.
No, I have
Yeah.
I have a plus 0 to intelligence.
Character.
Turns out he has actually like a negative 10 intelligence
Yeah, it's just
this whole time. Okay, yeah, I did point buy to reduce my intelligence down to negative 10 to get more dexterity to shoot my gun.
so Eli is actually a rock. You guys have just been personifying him this entire time.
Oh my god!
Eli's a Blinksy toy.
Is he a rock, or is he the wooden chest that's actually a rucksack?
Yeah.
Oh the dwarf who's actually a wooden chest.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so everyone who got below a 14 is going to be taking
1 million damage.
19 points of psychic damage. And
God, second wind.
anyone who passed that takes half. Anyone who also failed that is stunned as well.
Ooh,
So
condition.
14 was the
Yes.
DC, right?
Yes.
Okay. So half of 19 would
Would that
be
be 9 or
9.
10?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it'd be 9.
Round down. Yeah.
Ow.
So I think is Jean the only one that got below 14?
And Eli.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, I thought Eli got a 14.
No, I
No,
said I got
14
a
minus
14
10.
minus 10.
Oh,
We went
God.
over this.
I rolled
He's
a 4.
Confusing. Is it
Sorry,
just-
my joke caused so much confusion.
It really did. It's a Tuesday night, damn it.
Yeah. So, you are stunned until the end of your next turn. So that is the thing's turn, and we are at Fel.
Wow. This is going so poorly. Yeah, so Fell sort of wincing from this scream but able to resist the effects. Again, sort of seeing that both Eli and Jean are being affected by this, will just snap the wand forward. Her eyes flooding with blackness with a 17 to hit.
Yes.
Assuming that
Yep.
hits. Beautiful. And this fist-sized ball of teal-colored fire just zips towards this thing, dealing a whopping total of 16 points of fire damage.
Cool.
The firebolt just explodes across its chest.
Awesome.
And that is it for Fail.
Right. Eli, you are stunned. So I believe. I actually don't know what stun does. Incapacitated. Okay, cool. So you cannot do anything.
Right.
Perfect. All right. So then we're up at Jean, who is also stunned.
Yeah.
And now we are at Corla.
Corla, seeing Jean just standing there, is going to try to, I guess, protect her, but the best way she can by jamming the dagger into this thing's belly. Hopefully, we hope. Nope, we're not. That's the third 3 that I've rolled. So let's
Let's see if this. Nope. Okay. So it is Corla and Eli that are within melee distance, correct? That are kind of up close and personal.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. This thing lashes out at you, Corla, with its wicked claws that just come at you at this lightning force. So that is going. The one is going to be a 6 to hit, which I don't think hits, and the other one is going to be a 17.
17 hits.
Perfect. And that is. Oof. Oof. That is going to be 15 points of slashing damage.
15?
Yes. I unfortunately rolled max damage.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's okay. So Corla takes the hit. She groans out loud, grips her stomach, maybe dropping the lantern in the process, so now it's on the floor. But she is still standing.
I need you also to make me a Constitution saving throw, please.
Yeah, that's an 8.
Okay, and roll me a d4.
3.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So, Fell.
Yep, and she is going to, again, just fueled by this mixture of adrenaline and anger, just focus it all into this firebolt spell with a 22 to hit and another 16 points of fire damage. This time she's going to aim for this thing's face. Just again, I imagine she starts to just sort of scream in just fury and rage and panic, seeing this thing just brutalize her companions.
Right. Eli, you have now come to your senses, being this thing absolutely just pierced into your mind, and you couldn't stop just staring at its maw, at its face, at its grotesque form filled with this unease and fear. It almost seems as though it shook you right to the core, but you find your senses again. What would you like to do?
All right. I'm going to, since the weapon's in my hand, I'm going to raise righteous indignation at that gaping, horrid maw. I'm going to spend another adept marksman shot for a winging shot. I guess I'll see if it hits first. At disadvantage. Shh, my dice betrayed me. That's a 4 and a 5. So that first shot, and I don't have to spend that point if I don't actually hit. That first shot just goes wide. Still shaken from the effect. The gun still raised. I pull the trigger, and you hear click. As wait a minute. So I took 4 shots against it last time, right?
Yes.
Just got to make sure I'm doing this right because it has. Oh no, it's got 6 shots in it, so this one would be my last bullet. So it doesn't click. Hope I don't misfire. Why did I say something? Oh, never mind. That's not a 1. That's 217. So this one will hit.
Perfect. Yep.
So I'm going to use that grit point on this shot. I'm just double checking the rules on the grit shot. When you make a firearm attack, you can spend 1 grit point on a hit. No, because I didn't declare it ahead of time. I'm not going to use it. So that's just a hit. 12 points of piercing with a silver bullet.
Perfect. And I'm going to say, Eli, you kill this thing. However, you feel where it had slashed you. It almost feels like acid is being poured over this wound, opening it further deeper into your skin as you take 14 points of necrotic damage.
As I take the shot and the bullet pierces through, breaking teeth, and I don't know if this thing has brains or guts or anything, but splitting through its head. In that same instance, I recoil as if shot, and I would fall against the opposite wall, dropping righteous indignation, grabbing at my chest, turning around, I guess turning the face so the others can actually see the wounds this thing has done to me. And I look across the room at where Fell is. I try to say something, and no words come as I slump to the ground unconscious.
So I have a question. I know
Mhm.
we're probably about to go to break, but I'm going to ask this anyway. So Corla has the periaptive wound closure that looks like the fancy Vistani medallion.
Yes.
I don't think Fell was with the group when that was given to her. I think everyone had kind of gone to their own separate spots at the Sarahpool camp. Would she have been able to recognize that Corla had this since she was literally standing over Corla maybe a couple hours ago in the Baron's dining hall? Is that a thing? I can make an Arcana check or intelligence check or whatever you're thinking.
I'll say if you see it, you'd recognize it, but I think that's up to Corla whether you saw it.
It's up to you, Corla.
Yeah.
She's typing. Oh, balls. That's true.
So I'm going to do the Jake rule because I think that's better, and I don't like attunement rules. So we'll just assume that you're attuned to it if you have it on you, and if you have the free slots of attunement.
So the only thing though is, so Corla is attuned to it now. So the only way that its benefits would be able to help Eli in this situation would be if he attuned to it, which I don't think he can do because he's unconscious.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so kind of parsing through all that, Fel would immediately run over to Eli, and she will try to make a medicine check to stabilize him, though she is not great at medicine. She'll look to the other two and say, well, do something! And then she's going to roll. Oh, that's an 18 on medicine. Straight 18.
You can stabilize Eli. However, Corla, you feel that same ripping pain through these slashes, the same acid that just seems to drive right into your core as you take 11 points of necrotic.
Yeah, so I imagine like Eli slumps and Fel is yelling, people do something. And Corla grabs the wound and slumps to the ground as well.
Good thing you
See-
got that periapt with wound closure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I stabilize at the beginning of my next turn.
Oh, okay.
So, Eli, you open your eyes. You are standing at the precipice of what looks to be a battlement. You look, and Corla is there as well as Fel and Jean. You are all find yourself suddenly standing there. Fel, you were looking and trying to help Eli, and you blinked. And you're at this precipice. Jean, you as well, trying to scramble to do something to help to get somewhere. You take a step forward, and you find yourself almost falling off the edge into this abyss of blues and purples, oranges and greens, of some sort of galaxy looking abyss. Ahead of you, Fel, this would be all very familiar. This looks very similar to in your dream, where you see that the battlements are fractured, as in they are different steps almost leading up this path. In between the holes of this abyss, in between the breaks, in between the cracks, are these huge trees that, though in your dream, Fel, they were dead and decrepit, now they are full of life and light. And this blue and purple, these hues seem to dance around you all. And at the very top of this path, you see a figure sitting cross-legged on the ground. Candles surrounding him in a perfect circle. You see golden hair and the tips of very long elf ears. And that is where we are going to take our break.
Boom, boom, boom.
Goddamn monsters.
All right. Well, we will take a break, and then we will be back to see what these crazy monster killing dudes do. Dudes and dudeheads do. So.
Sure glad we checked out the passage first instead of anywhere else.
All right. We will be right back. Stay tuned. Hello, we're back, and the four of you find yourself at the precipice of this very strange place. A place that Fel has only ever seen once in Dream. What would you guys like to do?
What is our physical state? Looking at where my chest was ripped apart and burning with acid and necrotic damage, and looking at where Corla was also wounded.
So, I will say that you can tell that you look down and you see nothing. No scars, no scratches, no even dents or bruises or scuff marks from other battles. Your armor looks pristine, clean, and like you've never fought a battle in your life. Jean, you look down and your wound is gone.
Well, this, standing by my earlier statement, I'm choosing not to be surprised by this. But if I'm being honest, and I look over at Fel, I have no idea what in the nine hells is going on, and I'm very surprised by this.
And Fel looks at you for a moment, Eli, and I imagine she's only looking at him, kind of looking at where the wound was on his chest, and then these pale green eyes flick up to meet yours, and she actually says in perfect dwarvish, she says, "When we get back to Lady Watcher's house, you and I need to have a conversation." And then in common, she looks up, or well, in common, she looks up towards the high elf and says, "That must be the vampire, I guess." And yes, this is very surprising. And she kind of is looking around at all the different colors and the weird tree bridges and everything. But I could cross the bridges in my vision, so maybe that's what we need to do.
Well, if this is based on your vision, I look at Jean and Corla, and I think we need to follow your lead.
Oh, I'm sure that's going to turn out great for everybody.
Yeah, Jean is visually.
It's okay.
Visibly, yes.
Fel looked in common earlier. So
Yeah.
you're okay, Connor. I look in common.
Jean looks visibly like just taken aback by the lack of gouge in her breastplate and just like the looking at her hands and and just, what is this? It's a dream. It's so strange.
Mm-hmm.
Orla's doing the same. She was holding her gut before, and now she's looking at her hands, feeling her stomach. Where are we?
You've been here before?
I mean, I've seen something similar in a vision. The dream I had involving the golden wolf. So
In any other circumstance, I would call you for a madwoman, but I will rest my case here.
I appreciate that, John. Let's and she's looking again at this high elf. Let's go see what this person has to say. Does it look like a male high elf, Megan, or a female high elf?
It's
Or is it hard to tell?
pretty androgynous.
Okay.
It's hard to tell.
All right. So yeah, Fel will slowly start walking, sort of nodding with her head for the others to follow.
Corla hesitates a little bit, and then looks towards Jean before starting to follow Fel.
So it's fairly easy to navigate through these pieces of stone and rock and battlement and trees. And as you walk upward on this slight slope towards this landing where this elf is seated, you can see that in the distance there seems to be an orb. At first glance, you think it might be the sun, but there's something off about it. The colors are not quite right. The yellows are too orange, the reds have a greenish hue. It's not bright enough. It's would be as if you were to describe the sun to someone who had never seen it before. Purples and blues dance around along with the light of this orb. That is the one thing. You hear the elf speak. Finally, as you make your way up to the top. He wears this white robe that is tucked underneath him with these wide sleeves embroidered with gold that almost seems to match his hair somehow and accentuate it. And he sits there and he speaks. That is the one thing I have missed most of all. The one thing that I once believed was my birthright. And now I can only see it in my mind's eye. And even then, he is far away, long forgotten, as in a dream, a beautiful dream that you can't quite remember.
And Fel will actually say in Elvish, "Who are you exactly?"
A stranger to these lands. He would respond to you back in Elvish, actually. A stranger in these lands. Just like you. Trapped. Prisoner.
Do you have a name?
There are some who call me the Golden Wolf, Wolf of the Night. Some even call me the Devil Strahd, but they are very mistaken. There is a name, however, that they used to call me. A name that I have not heard in so long. Elwyn. Keeper of the Light.
But
And
why are you here? And where is here?
He responds this time back in common. This is somewhere I have created that is safe for the time being. Though, as you have seen, Fel, it can too be corrupted by darkness, and so I am afraid we do not have much time.
do you know? Do you have any thoughts on how to escape this land?
No. I do not know. I know as much as you, though I have been here for many, many years. I have tried to escape many times. All failed. But I believe that you all may have a way. Am I wrong?
I mean, we have a potential lead. Um, it's not guaranteed, but defeating Strahd potentially will see us home, and that's according to the words of a Vistani seer.
Madam Eva, she would not talk to me. She has hidden herself from me and would not give me the answers I sought. I almost destroyed her.
Because she wouldn't talk to you?
I felt that she knew answers. And after hundreds of years of being in this prison, would you not become a little desperate?
Absolutely. Is there anything that you could do, any advice you could give to help us do this? I mean, and she'll look back to the others, unless I'm missing my guess, we all want to leave. And whether that exit is through Strahd or not, I mean, I know I want to go home. And I'm sure you do as well.
Do you know that Strahd wants to leave as well? He is a prisoner here as much as you and I. I fear that escape for us may also mean the same for him.
So he is not the one who is holding people here? This is not his doing?
He holds people here as a prisoner, keeps the company of rats and other insects to be his playthings. But that still doesn't make him not a prisoner.
So then who or what is the jailer?
Something dark. Something far older than perhaps the world itself. Chaos, some may call it. I only ever interacted with it once.
Oh.
But never again. It came too close. I saw the darkness, and I was not as eager as Strahd was. And so I did not fall as quickly. I am here to give you a warning. I've been trying to protect you, shield you from the eyes of those who wish to prevent you from getting as close as you are. But there are other forces here. Not Strahd, not the Raven Mother, not even me. Are the big players in this game.
Who is this Raven Mother?
I believe Eli and Fel. You were with Gleowin for a time.
Yes, we were.
She was the pupil, the student, the worshipper of the Raven Queen, a seeker of memories. her and Strahd have had a little disagreement. And I am concerned of what ramifications that might have.
Do you know of any gods having any power here?
I've
Every
looked.
force we've encountered seems to be a force of darkness or varied shades of darkness.
This place is well in the shade, my dear dwarf. Covered over by the darkness, the chaos. I have looked, as you did, I'm sure, as you do, still, for gods, for any sign of hope and light here. And don't despair, I do find fragments. But that's all they are. Pieces. Separate, far from each other, shrouded in darkness. But once you get to their center, you can see the light. My warning to you is that there are big players in this game. There are things that will try and stop you, will try and feign sympathy towards you, mighty things. The chaos will come to you. Maybe not for many moons, but it will come. And maybe to some sooner than others. You will find no happiness in the chaos. You will become like Strahd, trapped by their own hubris, their own greed, their own sin.
Is there anyone or anything that in your hundreds of years being stuck here that you personally have felt that you can trust besides yourself?
No.
That's what I was thinking. Got it.
Don't get me wrong. There are many people who have the best intentions, but as Strahd likes to show, he likes to whittle people down into their core, to turn them. He just tries to find, this whole world tries to find your breaking point and exploit it. And the same will be done for your allies, those who you trust for a time. I'm not saying don't trust. I'm saying do not trust unconditionally or for forever. Trust can be broken. Allies can turn to enemies very quickly.
True enough. Is there anything else you can tell us? Any other words of wisdom, advice? I know you said this realm will not persist long before it is corrupted. Anything at all?
We do not have more time, but you are all of this world, in one way or another. You have seen the signs, the echoes of your lives here. You are as much as part of this as any. I may have more answers. I may have someone else you may talk to. When you are done here, you may find me. Not in the plane of where we are, not in a dream, in the flesh. Look for the mark of the golden wolf, and you will find me there.
Thank you, Elowen, for the information, and we will hopefully speak to you again soon, unless anyone else has anything real quick, I guess.
Eli's been very quiet, other than the couple of things he said. Just very listening intently, but also seeming to be lost in thought.
When you see him again, the sun, never blink, even for a moment, for it could all be gone. And as he says this, you can see that the image before you seems to fade, melt, as the picture of a painting left out in the rain. Eli and Corla, you are still on the ground. Corla, the amulet, it stabilizes you? Or...
Yeah, it stabilizes me at the beginning of my turn, so.
Okay. Eli, you are still unconscious, but stabilized. Fel and Jean, you blink again. Jean, you finish your step. And Fel, you continue, you go back to whatever, you finish whatever action you were doing, as though an instant had passed by.
How are you feeling, Jean?
That was so weird. Did you have the same dream as me?
Yes. This spell book of Victor's and everything, I have to be honest, I mean, with these two being like this, I don't know how much more effective they're going to be this evening. Maybe we should just... I'm hesitant to just leave this house without at least giving it a quick once-over, but I also don't know what else we're going to find here. But with them unconscious, I mean, they're going to be out for some time.
This is quite a frightening ordeal we've got ourselves through.
Yes, it is. So, as awful as it sounds, maybe we could take them up to the landing with the painting that looked like Corla, and maybe we could rest for a bit. I mean, I know we had a shorter rest before we originally came out here, but maybe we need something longer at this point. It's not like the Vixen and her people know that we're down here.
I'm trying to think of when the last time you guys had a long rest.
Couple hours ago.
Well,
Yeah.
no, because we short rested. We only did an hour. So we haven't taken a long rest.
I thought we
think,
long
since we
rested
last slept.
at Lady Watcher's place.
No, it was
Nope.
just a short rest.
Yeah,
Oh.
it was an hour. Yeah,
Yeah.
because by this point it's like late night, and we haven't slept at all.
Yeah, the last time you guys had a long rest was when Blinksy came. Was when you were doing
That's
the...
right. All my stuff. I was thinking long rest because all of my features had come back, but I'm a fighter, so they all come back at short rest.
Must be nice.
Yeah, so it's been a long
All my
time.
features come back too.
It's been
I think
quite a
Gunner's
while.
the only long rest character.
Could be.
So Okay.
But I mean, what do you think? If we do that, I mean, if we rest down here, the Vixen is probably going to wonder where the hell we got off to. One and two, I don't know how effective we're going to be at searching for things if we're down 2 people.
I wouldn't dare move their bodies in case they were injured severely. It's,
What if
I've
there's
had my
something else
own.
down here, though?
Perhaps we keep watch.
Yeah, we could do that. Maybe could we at least move them to like the entrance of this area so we're not in the actual catacombs, we're just at the mouth of the catacombs, if we're careful?
If we be careful. So I've had my own men become lame because of being carried a bit too roughly when they were injured.
Right. Well, and this isn't too far of a walk, so let's do that. I think the Vixen's just going to have to understand, and if she doesn't, oh well. But I think you're right. I don't think we can get them up all those stairs. Maybe even the landing is too much. But let's do that. I'm more than happy to help. I'm not especially strong, but I know you are, so maybe we could start with Eli and then move Corla.
Yeah, we'll both have to work in unison here to keep them level.
Right.
On 3.
Yep.
And we'll do our best to carry
Move
their
these
unconscious
people.
bodies to a bit more of a securable location.
Right. So
Mhm.
the entrance.
Yeah, just to the entrance of the catacombs, effectively.
Okay. You do so. I think, yeah, if you take the time, you can do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And Jean will take Corla's lantern and keep it lit and keep watch for when they come to. She'll occasionally kind of just check their pulses, check their breathing, make sure everything's okay. But Jean's ready to do the long haul wait in this place if need be.
So I think both Eli and Corla roll me a d4 to see how many hours you were out.
Four.
I got a 1.
Ooh.
So you wait. Do you, Fel and Jean, talk during this hour?
Yeah. John wouldn't in waiting. Just you asked how I got into this building. It's a strange magic that I can barely understand myself.
I know that feeling.
Turned myself into mist and slipped through the cracks. In the bricks, the stone, and the wood.
I think I've read about spells that can allow a person to do that. You know, what Elowen said about not really being able to trust anyone, even our allies, because this land whittles them down and makes them into something else. I get it, but I also don't see how there's any way to actually get anything done if you live that way, I suppose. I mean, trust is difficult to give and to earn, but I don't know.
Well, perhaps the advice given to us by a hermit of his own design, perhaps not the best advice to listen to when talking about how to get out of a place. And perhaps it is his own demise, his own downfall, his own hubris of not wishing to trust anyone that led him to be in a place like that, a prison of his own design.
True, but you think about it, he is the one powerful being that we have met that has not immediately tried to kill us. You know, he actually wanted to give us a warning. That was a completely altruistic gift he just gave us. He had no reason to do that. He had no cause.
Yeah, he is altruistic, yes. He is wise, yes. But has he ambition? It seems it is lost.
I mean, at this point, I'll just settle for another decent person in this land apart from Irina and her brother Ismark, because apart from them, we have been betrayed and mistreated, and it is frustrating.
It is. But take solace in the fact that perhaps that elf does not know the whole truth, or perhaps he does, but that is for us to discover, rather than him to tell us. It is wise, of course, to be wary of one's allies and people who are near to stick blades in your back, or people who wish to gain your trust by asking favors of you and having you perform favors for them. But if you follow that road too far, as you've said, you lock yourself in a self-designed prison of dreams and meditation and just defeat. And I don't want to end up like that elf, locked in some dream, some nightmare that I can never escape. There has to be a way out of this place. There has to be.
I agree. Hopefully we can figure it out. I guess, and she'll kind of look at the two unconscious folks nearby. You said back at the Church of St. Andrew's that you have occasionally talked to Strahd and that he said things that made your body feel sick. I thought that was just you being your normal cryptic self, but since we're talking about trust and trust in our allies, what does that mean? Does he have some sort of control over you that we need to be aware of?
It's hard to describe, but I see him in my dreams, and when I've seen him awake, it seems as if I am in a dream. It's as if you're staring at a wolf, and it stares back at you, and your body can do nothing but be still, paralyzed with fear. That's the best way I can describe it. It's terrifying having that feeling of loss of control, especially for one who requires control of your own body to function, as you and I both do.
Mm-hmm. I think that's true of anybody. A loss of control is always terrifying.
It's terrifying. I wish I could console you in saying that Strahd would have no control over me, but that would be a folly. I think even you would be false to say that. If you saw that creature in front of you and you do not react any sort of way, I'd call you mad.
I mean, I have seen him once, just as Eli has and just as Corla has when we left the Durst house. And it was frightening. You know, I won't lie. Everything in this place is frightening, but anyway, thank you for the clarification, I guess, for what it's worth. Hopefully they wake up soon.
I have an idea. That elf mentioned this raven mother who collects memories. Perhaps there's a memory that she keeps of some way of getting out of here.
That's a good point.
If she's as cryptic and powerful as it seems that elf let on, then perhaps that is at least a clue of what we can do to get out of here. But I, again, do not wish to bargain with greater powers. But
you might not have a choice.
I mean, there seems to be little gods here in this realm. If the Raven Mother is opposed to Strahd, at least in some sort of rivalry, then perhaps it is best to be on the right side of a fence.
No, I agree. I agree. Hopefully when things settle down here, if things settle down here, we can, I mean, we don't really have any information to pore over, but we can try and figure out, I guess, a better way of doing things. I mean, we've just been going off of what Madame Ava's Taroko reading showed us, and we don't really have any other leads. And really, Elowin just gave us more information, which is fine, but nothing we can really act on as far as I'm aware. No, you're right.
Tracking down an audience of this Raven Mother seems something we should keep our eye on, at least in our minds and hearts.
That's fair.
She stirs, it seems. Corla here.
Something does.
Hey, Corla. Are you well? Here, have some of this, and she'll give you some water. It's all right. Don't move. Don't move. Just take a drink.
Carla would take a sip, probably cough a little bit. I hurt everywhere.
I bet.
Last thing I remember was the thing. Did we get it? Did it die?
Mm-hmm.
It has been slain. Yeah, it reeks over there.
I dreamt weird. You were all there.
I fear they were not dreams, for I had them too.
Mm-hmm. Same.
The elf in the courtyard.
That was not dream,
No.
but I was. Huh. I do not understand what is going on. Eli, is he? How is he?
He's fine. It's just going to take him a few more hours to recover, I think. I'm apparently really good at medicine. The things you learn when you're panicked.
I mean, it is common sense. Staunch the flow.
Yes, John, but I do not have a whole lot of experience doing field dressing as a Duke's daughter. That's not Duke's daughter 101.
Perhaps the Duke's daughter might have slipped some on the letter opener, perhaps.
Yep, I have done that once or twice. But he'll be fine, Corla, and I'm glad that you're all right as well.
Thank you. If you do not mind, I will just close my eyes again.
Get some sleep.
During this time, does anyone go upstairs or venture to at all, or are you going to take a long rest down here, or are you just going to wait till Eli wakes up?
I mean, we can maybe discuss that once Eli's up. I mean, it just kind of depends on his situation.
Okay.
To answer your first question, I think that Jean will get a little bit restless, especially now that Corla's awake. Maybe she'll just like go up the stairs, check the door, go down the stairs, go a bit back into the catacombs, a bit deeper, bring in the lantern with her, just to kind of make sure that everything's okay, or even look on the walls, bored and distracted, to occupy the bit of this time.
While you're walking, you see that above each of these catacombs are names. You do see Velikovich, you see other names as well. You even see a few Von Zarovich names.
Interesting.
And as you're walking, you do also see more messages in red on the walls. Help us, please. Where are the gods? The gods are dead. See these walls, and some are more legible than others. And something you see that is quite odd. You see some slumped bodies in a corner, Jean.
She'll kind of tip the lantern at them, and kind of give them a bit of a more focused perception, I guess. Not, of course, not trying to like poke them and kick them and kind of see, what their faces are like, but just keeping her distance, looking at them with focus.
I will get you to roll me investigation, please, with advantage.
Yep. Ooh. Haven't heard that word in a long time. Well, that advantage did not matter. That's going to be a total of 7.
Ooh.
The advantage turned a 6 into a 7. Thanks, dice.
So you can see that there's something odd about these bodies. They're dead. You know that from your investigation. You know that they're dead, but there's something strange. Something you can't quite put your finger on.
She'll give it a closer investigation as this kind of a piqued her attention.
Okay.
She'll step closer, and if that prompts a ghoulish hand slashing at her throat, then I guess it prompts a ghoulish hand slapping at her throat. Yeah, she'll kind of step close and try to figure out what's this thing plaguing her mind.
Sure. Okay. You can make me another investigation since you are getting closer.
Welp. Oh, no, never mind. That's fine. There's a 15 on the die for a 15.
Perfect. in your time fighting the undead and the necromancers, and you have seen this, and probably this is something unique, something that only you have seen, is recent wounds on an undead body. You see the sword marks across the bones. You see perhaps even what look to be fresh wounds on skin slabs that has come off. These things are skeletal, they're rotting, they stink. But you see these recent wounds on them. Recent slash marks.
Mm-hmm. She'll kind of look around to see, what else is in this place. What could have attacked and killed these corpses, as ironic as that sounds.
You see, I'm not going to make you roll again, but you see also the same necrotic blackness eating away at these recent wounds as you saw with Corla and Eli.
Yeah, and so she'll put two and two together. And she'll kind of come back to the group, maybe a bit later. There were some corpses down yonder. Corpses that have been tainted with the foul energies of necromancy, but they were slain, cut down, for the same wounds as both Corla and Eli possessed from that foul creature that attacked us earlier. Was it eating these things? And what's...
Do you think there's more than one, or did it just seem like
perhaps
the same one?
Could be a nest of them here. What does this creature look like now that we have it kind of dead down a hallway and a half? She'll kind of give it even a more thorough examination, using the tip of a blade, kind of like peel up the lips if there are any to see the teeth, or
Yeah, this thing does not have any lips. They have all been rotted away to these razor sharp teeth, this huge jaw. It looks like a human, if a human had just been stretched. The ribs are far apart, the arm bones are elongated, these wicked claws lay at the end. Its feet as well are distorted and crooked, and it's hairless and it's grotesque, and its skin is like paper and pale.
Yeah, I don't know if this would apply, but can I do some kind of Arcana check to see whether this is like an undead creature versus like being a creature of a distant world, or
Sure,
like some kind of extraplanar creature, or even just like some weird native of this realm that I've never encountered before?
Sure, yeah.
Kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be 15 on the die for 19.
In your experience, you've never seen anything like this, but just by looking at it, you can see the breaks and the regrowth of the bones. You have this feeling that this person was undead, but became something else.
Yeah, okay. She'll come back to the group, and it's a strange creature. I fought many undead, and this doesn't seem to be one. It could have been, perhaps, but it's something more, something different, something transformed from necromancy. Perhaps something even more foul twists the dead in this place. I would stay on our guard if more of these things crawl the depths.
I guess this is something we can somewhat talk about. Well, we can talk about it further once Eli gets up, but maybe we can make an initial decision here. When he's back up, do we want to just do a quick once-over of the house, try and see if we can find anything, and then just go back to Lady Watchers and rest? I don't think we should stay down here if we can avoid it, because this is just sounding worse and worse with every passing moment.
It sounds bad. One thing just came to my mind when Jean was talking there. Young Victor, he mentioned sacrifice for his circles, those things that could maybe what we are seeing here be part of that.
Would that be an Arcana check, Megan? Potentially? To see if like a teleportation circle would affect undead in a weird or unusual way?
Sure. Yeah, you can make an Arcana check. Anyone can, if they'd like.
Cool.
That's an
Ooh.
18.
That's going to be a 22.
Whoa! Actually, I'm sorry.
We're
That's a
nerds.
So you can see that, I would say even with that, it's just so odd. But you feel like it's not a result of the teleportation circle or the magic that Victor has been doing, though you aren't sure if this was another spell that Victor had done himself. If that makes sense. Like, it's not some sort of magical effect. This is deliberate. That is what you can tell.
Was he not like talking about pets and bringing back and stuff? I'm
mean,
trying to remember what he was saying.
He had reanimated the skeletons of cats. I mean, and she'll
It's
shoot
a
a
different
glance.
class entirely.
Yeah, she'll shoot a glance over to you, Jean. I absolutely agree. This thing was 10 times more powerful and 10 times more horrible than any animated cat skeleton.
But what
If Victor did this, then he might be one of our biggest problems we have on our plate.
What if he's
Or that book.
Not knowing he is doing this? What if he's, or even worse, what if he found the book? What if this is from before that? Whoever made book.
That could be. I mean, it definitely seems. You said it seemed deliberate, Megan. Is that correct?
Well,
or as far as we can tell.
As far as you can tell, it was a spell that had done
was cast
this.
On this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Because from what I can tell, and again, I imagine Fel has sort of stayed like sitting right next to Eli and is just sort of like eyeballing this with her crazy dark vision. I mean, from what I can see, this seems like a spell was cast on this thing, and it could just be the spell that initially reanimated it, or it could be an additional spell. I'm not sure, but this seems like something that was done intentionally. This was not just some mystical side effect. But you're right, Jean. I mean, if this is something that Victor, of all people, did intentionally, then he could be one of the most powerful necromancers that I've ever heard about, read about. I've never actually met one, obviously, but...
Don't want to.
No, I'm sure I don't. Which, again, could be reason enough for us, once Eli is awake, to potentially try and get his spellbook. Even if we just briefly look at it, make sure there's nothing especially dangerous in it. If there is, we destroy it like you wanted to originally.
And I fear what things lie in this crypt itself, too.
As soon as Eli...
I have half a mind to go down through these halls and make sure they're all destroyed. If we cannot do that, perhaps collapsing it might be our best intent.
I mean...
I don't wish this to be open for whatever things here to lurk out.
I don't think this place is the potential sanctuary that I was hoping it would be for us. I mean, we might as well just tell the Vixens people about it, honestly. I mean, let them deal with this, as terrible as it is to say. I mean, at this point, we're not in any state to continue fighting anything.
Do we plan on staying in Vallaki much longer, beyond the doppelganger issue?
It depends. I mean, where else are we going to go?
I have the Raven Mother idea. We have the other leads given to us by Madame Eva, but again, how trusty are those to follow?
I mean, so far, they've led us to people that have the items that we need. I mean, at this point, honestly, I'm more concerned about defeating the doppelgangers and getting the Sun Sword. Because I have an inkling that Lady Watcher is not just going to part with it, even though we did have her sign the contract. I don't trust her at all. Not just because she reminds me of my aunt, but because she's, well, you know.
Do not forget, she put time limit on it, too. If we do
3 days.
Do something. I fear, I do not want to know what happens if we do not.
And we still don't know where the Korla or the Jean doppelgangers are. We know that mine's in the church, but they didn't seem to know where the other two were.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps we best leave this at our backs, pinned in our minds, for when we have a moment to make things good here in Valaki. I do not wish to have such an evil place lurking beneath the feet of people. If this curse, this dreaded magic gets out into the world, it will be their end.
Right. No, that makes sense. I would agree with that.
And if it stems from that book, well then burn the book.
Yes, indeed, if we have to.
I'd say with all of this looking, investigating, and talking, it's probably only about an hour until Eli wakes up.
Eli wakes up.
Mm-hmm.
Corla, would you, or Jean maybe, would one of you be willing to go back up the stairs and see if you can hear anything on the other side? Or did you already do that, Jean? I was focused on, and she'll glance down at Eli. I was focused on something else.
Yeah, I had gone up there a few moments just to check the nearby area. I didn't see anything. Unless I did, Megan, in which case I would say that I did see something. Or heard something.
You actually did. You would have heard more commotion. People
Just kind of general vagary commotion?
Yep. Like nothing violent or anything that would like...
Yeah.
Yeah, just general people up there.
It's a riot!
Yeah.
There's sort of people up there, but they don't seem intent on finding this place at all.
Okay. I think when Eli wakes up, like I said, we get back up there. Maybe we try to go to Victor's workshop, do a quick once over of the house, and then go back to Lady Watchers and rest. And then we can figure out what we're doing in the morning. Because I think I don't know how all of you are feeling right now. I know Corla's doing better, but I am relatively tapped out as far as things go.
My brain hurts from the scream of that creature.
Yes.
It'll be good to get a bit of sleep to wear this one off. Very well.
We wait for Eli to wake up.
Eli wakes up. In a bit.
Hey. How are you feeling?
I'm not entirely sure I'm alive.
You're definitely alive, otherwise you wouldn't be groaning in pain like that.
Oh.
Or perhaps we're all dead.
Don't say that, Jean.
Quite odd, wouldn't it?
That would be.
Well, listening to the two of you, I'm pretty sure I'm alive.
Yep. You surely are. Oh, actually, and Fell's going to take out the Vistani wine pony keg, which I imagine hers is almost completely gone, and she just finds some cup or whatever and just pours out the rest of what she has, which is not very much, and she just kind of hands it to you. Eli kind of puts it in your hands and wraps your hands around it. Drink that. It's wine.
Not my favorite, but...
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Beggars can't be choosers.
It's not the worst thing I've tasted.
Can you walk?
So I hadn't actually spent any hit dice because I wanted to make sure before we got here. So obviously I've been out for 4 hours. So does that count as a short rest?
Yeah,
I think it bumps you up to.
I mean, Connor's shaking his head no.
Oh, well.
And I'm wondering mechanically when you come out of being unconscious, or if
You
he's
have one
just
hit
being
point.
Connor.
Yeah.
You know, I recovered a 1 hit
Yeah.
point. Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Is I can't benefit from a short rest
That-
until after I've recovered.
Right.
That makes sense. Yep.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
You sure?
So help me up.
Yeah, and Fel will do her best to help you up, though I imagine you are much brawnier and bulkier than she is.
I almost immediately fall back down.
Well, all right. Yep. Nope. All right. Hey, Jean, you wanna lend a hand over here, right quick?
Yeah, just on 3.
Yep.
You guys are both gonna lurch him to his feet.
Yep.
gonna count, John, or anyway.
All
Three.
I was counting. What, do you wish me to narrate
I was
everything I
making
do?
Yes, narrate everything.
I was making self-imposed constitution checks. That one was a lot better, so I imagine I'm able to keep the wine down. Whew.
Yay,
Oh.
you're up. Good job. You did it all by yourself. Way to go.
Where's my gun?
Oh shit! And we'll kind of move off to find the gun, having completely forgotten about it. And she would bring it back to you, sort of hand it to you.
The whole time you were talking about like leaving or
Oh,
moving
yeah,
away,
yeah.
and
Nope.
I'm like, those guys are gonna leave my
Leave
gun.
my gun. Hey, we almost did it in the windmill, so why not? We have a track record.
I need to do like we used to have to do in the army, and I need to tie a dummy cord to
You
it.
should.
Have a lanyard from
Mhm.
the gun to my holster.
Where's this string lead? Oh, it's to Eli's gun. Cool, we're fine.
So
I think
I will
go ahead.
take Lantern, and I will lead way if you carry him upstairs.
Right.
I
think
can walk.
well,
Nobody needed to carry me.
we're not going to carry you, but we're going to help you up. There's a lot of stairs. So I think, unless anyone has any objections, what we're going to do is we're going to go upstairs. We're just going to tell the vixen and her people about this place if they ask. I mean, it's not a haven. This is clearly dangerous. And then we're going to do a quick sweep of the house, and then we're going to go back to Lady Watchers and get some rest, because I think we all need it. Is that all right? Sean is nodding her head. Corla nodded her head.
I would nod my head, but it
I know, I got you.
makes me a bit queasy to do that.
I will take your pained grunting as a confirmation. All right, let's go. And Fel would kind of like, again, because she's only about a foot and a half taller than Eli, so she's just kind of like awkwardly leaned down to try to help him as best she can up the stairs without carrying him, obviously.
While you were talking, I reloaded Righteous Indignation with standard bullets, putting my 4 remaining silver bullets in my pocket. And then, yeah, I think I'll definitely. I'm trying to make a show of being able to walk myself, but we don't get very far, and I've got to lean on Fel.
You're not fooling anybody with that, right?
The only one I'm trying to fool is myself.
Well, stop that. You're bad at it.
So you guys ascend the never-ending staircase, it seems. You pass by the picture of who looks to be Corla. You keep going, and as you go up the stairs, do you listen first, or do you open the door right away?
Oh no, I listen first, yeah.
Corla, you hear loud voices, many voices.
Can I make out any words that they're saying?
There's so many of them, and they're so loud, you can't. And you hear the clanging of items, you hear people moving things, you hear people arguing over who grabbed the silverware first, whose right it is to have the spoon. You hear people asking if anyone has checked upstairs. You hear all of these things kind of all at once in this conglomeration of voices.
I'll turn back to the others. It is too late. The mob is here. They're checking everything. That book you are wanting, it's gone, I'm sure.
We're gonna have to wait it out.
We can't let it get in their hands.
I agree. I also think, though, that Eli is right. We are in no shape to take on the mob. We need to wait here. We need to actually rest, and then we will go out when things have quieted down. I don't think we have a choice.
Although, as Sean says, if we want that to keep that from getting in anybody's hands, if it ain't too late already, now might be the only time.
I'll get it.
You're not going by yourself.
Well, you won't be able to follow me. As she turns into mist right there in front of you as she dissolves and slips through the crack of the door to go scout the house as a pile of mist to get to the book.
See if you can find any potions, John.
I only have 2 hands. Actually, I have 0 hands right now. As I cast gaseous form to slip through the house,
And I think
unseen and unhindered.
Corla is complete shock. She didn't know Jean could do this.
You two should really talk to each other more. You look so surprised, Corla. Like, man, how long have you known John?
I have known her for years, but she could never do that before.
Apparently she can do that.
She never had hole in chest either.
Fair enough.
And the last things that they'll see of Jean is just her eyes floating in the center of the mist as just black orbs before they vanish become mist again. And floof! I floof my way through the house.
So as you floof your way through the house, you see the mob has indeed arrived. You see some of the members trying to hold them back as much as they can, trying to keep some of the things away from them, but they are losing as both noble and peasant alike are fighting over some of the items, fighting over the parts of these trinkets, these relics, these pieces of silver and gold. Well, I'm sure the nobles aren't there, but the guards of the nobles are definitely there fighting over these things. You do see the vixen. She's running, she's dodging frantically around through the mob, she's asking, has anybody seen them? Where have they gone? They couldn't have gone very far. She's like frantically around. Gods, I hope they aren't dead. As she is frantically running around. And so you're gonna go.
The vixen is that teenage babysitter that has lost the
Yeah.
the kid she was supposed to watch. Where are they? They were just here in the mall.
You float upstairs to where you know Victor's
little secret place, yeah.
You see that the door is closed and the sigil is glowing.
If I remember correctly, that's a sigil that when you open the door, it'll blow up, right?
Yes.
I will slip underneath the door.
You do so. And you see that there is nobody in here at the moment. And you do see the cats. Still kind of the skeleton cats.
Is there a window in this room? Whether it's covered up with glass doesn't matter.
Yes.
All right.
I need you to make me an investigation check to see if you can find this book.
All right. I am a mist looking for a book.
Would because did Victor? I think Victor told all of us that he typically keeps it under his bed.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, I got a natural 20.
You look high and low. You know that you have torn this place apart. This book is not here.
Oh no. She will then frantically look around, going to Victor's bedroom, perhaps.
Give me another
If you can find
investigation
it.
check, please.
Yeah. She's getting a bit more desperate now. That's going to be a 16.
It is not there. You are certain.
She'll begin to just frantically check room by room by room to where it could have been.
If you're checking room by room, you find something interesting. You float into one room, and you see, to your shock, hundreds of Blinksy dolls that look exactly like Irina. The same one that Blinksy had and had shown you. Hundreds of them lined up, shelves, on the bed, in the windowsill.
Well, as perturbed as Jean is about this, she's going to check this room for the book. But she's going to put a pin in this one in her brain, but unfortunately she's a bit determined on finding this Necronomicon and putting an end to it.
You cannot find it in here. I'm also, in your search, you can roll me 4d10s, please, and give me each of them separately.
6.
Wait,
10.
whoa.
Oh.
6, 10, okay.
8. 3.
3. Okay, you find some potions, if you would like them. You find a potion of greater healing, or 2 potions of greater healing, a potion of poison, and a potion of fire breath.
All right. Are they all in the same spot?
Well,
Or are they scattered through the house?
They're kind of scattered through the house, yeah.
Okay. Because she cannot touch things as a mist. So she'll have to, like, kind of get the lay of the land before turning corporeal again to grab these things.
Yeah. You look everywhere upstairs, and you become certain, with those rolls that you had made, that Victor's book is not here.
Well, she didn't want to be empty-handed for her efforts, but she also kind of notices the commotion downstairs. And did Victor tell us about like a way of getting up and down the house that he has? A secret way, or no? I'm probably thinking of the death house.
Yeah, he didn't mention anything, no.
Yeah. Yes, she'll turn corporeal and grab these potions. Go to the Victor's room, I think. Oh no, the door's sigiled. Never mind, I can't do that. I'll go to some bedroom. Probably Isaac's, let's say, if he's not in the room.
Yeah, well, Isaac got taken away by the Golden Wolf, so.
She will then try to smash the window and use the bed sheets as kind of like a makeshift rope to rappel downwards out of the house.
Okay, that would be quite the drop. I would say that you would definitely take damage, no matter if you put the bedsheet down.
No, like using it as a rope to climb down, not like as a trampoline.
No, I know that. I'm just saying the bedsheet isn't long enough to. Yeah, no.
Are there multiple sheets I could tie together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would take some time though, and I need you please to make me. I need you to roll me I need you to roll me a D4, please, to see if anyone comes in the room. Just wait before you tell me. Okay. Okay, got it. What'd you get?
A 1.
Ah, okay. In your time, you don't know how, you can hear the mob coming up the stairs and them looking around. You can probably even hear someone try to open Victor's door, and you hear a scream of pain as they are hit with this. But nobody comes into Isaac's room for the time that you are trying to repel.
Perfect. Yeah, she'll like tie multiple bed sheets together, even like the under linens of the bed if she can, just to get rappel down to the base of the house.
You do so.
And that's as far as Jean thought. And then she's like, "Where's everyone else?" And I guess as she's outside, I don't really have a means of communicating with you guys. I did not think that far.
So we're expecting Jean to come back. We're gonna show up.
She just runs away.
Sorry.
That's kind of the end of Jean's little adventure, I think, because
Well, where is she gonna go? Is she just gonna stand there, or?
so I was for some reason I had it in my mind that I had said before, like, okay, I'm gonna go get the things and I'll meet you outside. But it turns out I only said I'm gonna go get the things.
Okay.
And so, you know what? I think that Jean thinks that she said that I'll meet you outside, and she's gonna be like, "What are they?"
So,
Outside.
but didn't you guys say you were gonna take a long rest in the hallway?
No. So the idea was that we were going to actually, yeah, no, you're right, because the mob showed up. So
Yeah.
we're like, well, we can't go anywhere, so we might as well take a long rest. So I guess that's what we're doing at this point.
I mean,
We're
could
just long resting behind the door,
Do
the
you wanna-
concealed door.
I mean, you could try and find one of the member of the. I mean, yeah, I don't want to tell you what to do.
No. Corla basically said that there's a bunch of noise, like, relatively close, so I don't think we're going anywhere. I mean, we got Eli, who's barely up. We got Corla, who's barely up, and Fel with almost no spells left.
Unless you just sneak through the house. But
I mean, if we wait long enough and Jean doesn't come back, and if it dies down and there's no sound, we
Yeah,
might.
I mean, if it dies
leave.
down eventually, I don't know how long it's going to take this mob to disperse.
But yeah, I don't think we were waiting for her to come back.
Yeah, we were.
After about 10 minutes of just sitting there waiting, Eli's asleep.
All right. Well, I'm sure, there's a lot of people in the house. I'm sure that Jean is having difficulty navigating in her mist form. I'm sure she'll be back any moment now. It's a good thing that we have these little, like, miniature meetings before we do big things, because they help us plan. I have full confidence in what Jean is doing right now.
So, okay, Jean, what are you doing though? Are you just gonna just stand in the garden for?
yeah, she's just like, no, she's gonna be like kind of pacing around the courtyard and then kind of going to the front and just like, where are they?
I'm gonna need you to roll me another d4 because you are outside. There are people out here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick. This is so funny. I'll be right back.
Haven't you ever waited for somebody where you start waiting and you're like, there must have been some miscommunication, and you've waited so long, you're just like, well, I just gotta keep waiting.
Yeah.
I can't not wait.
Because if I leave, they might come back.
Yeah, they might just be held up by something, So I will be kind of like keeping in the bushes, knowing that the mob here.
Okay,
so roll stealth.
Yeah, roll me a stealth and a d4, please.
Okay, it's a 3 on the d4 and a 16 on stealth.
Okay, I'm going to roll perception of the person that you rolled for to find you.
I feel like an idiot.
What did you roll? Sorry.
A 3. 16 stealth.
Okay, all right. So you are noticed in the bushes.
Oh no.
You are noticed, and as the person peeks their head in, you find that it is one of the members of the Golden Wolf. What are you doing here? Where were you? They've been gone for hours.
Have you seen the others?
No, we've been looking everywhere. We thought you were dead.
Well, they're not entirely wrong.
Come, we have to... Do you know where the others are?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, take us to them so that we can leave. The mob is here. They're running amok. We need to leave now.
Yeah, just follow me.
Okay. So they follow you.
We're gonna need to, yeah, and then he'll be like, Jean, not he. Jean will say to this guard, we'll need to just create a distraction somehow to let them out. Just let us keep the mob busy.
Have you seen them in there? They're animals.
I have. That's why I'm out here.
Right. We'll keep them occupied. I don't know. We have to get out of here before this whole place is burned to the ground.
And Jean will lead this lycanthrope to the entrance of the secret exit.
So I think that the others, as you guys are going, the lycanthrope would signal to the others, and the others would begin, kind of like pushing back and like hassling the crowd in the opposite direction, so that the crowd kind of pushes back. And do you open up the secret entrance, John?
It's just a crack. Just like, it's Jean. Come on. Just escape.
Oh, all right, sure. And Fel would kind of help Eli up, despite his grumbling, and just look to Corla and say, "Come on, we need to go."
Just move quick. The mob's closing in.
Great, right.
So Corla, being right there, would take the
Torch.
the torch, so that we could hopefully push open.
I know. I just did that hand motion. I'm like, nope, that's not good to do on a stream. It's a weird session tonight, guys. You're welcome, Connor.
I mean, not gonna lie.
Not gonna lie. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, so you guys, yeah, I'm gonna say you guys get out, you sneak. The mob is very busy, and you make it back to the Lady Watcher's house and get your long rest. And that will be the end of the session.
Cool. Because I was gonna say Phil would like to do one thing before the long rest, but we can do it next time.
Yeah, we can kind of retcon, like, or not yeah, we can.
Yeah, I mean, we could just say as the long rest is starting to happen,
yeah,
that Jeans has a quick thing to do.
Perfect.
Quick-ish thing.
Sounds good.
So we are in fact getting a long rest.
Yes. Yes, you are.
And I will distribute those potions out to people.
Yep.
Who?
And
well,
I'm gonna
have your
say,
pick, I guess. I don't know.
We can
probably
figure it out.
We can figure it out in the future. But did someone write those down on a character sheet or not?
I got them in the chat. And we can talk about it once we go offline.
Sure.
Yeah, that'll be a good idea. You guys can kind of decide who gets what.
We'll have a bidding war on those potions.
Yeah.
Jean's like stealing, just checking them all before she
Wait,
gets there.
no.
Sorry, can only find empty potions. I'm a real fuck up.
All right. So thank you everyone so much. That was a roller coaster of a session.
It really was.
Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and thank you to my amazing players. You guys really do make this just a blast and my favorite. Yeah. So
through miscommunication.
So
if there's any lesson you take away from this game, people at home, is to make sure that you talk and communicate with the people that are around you.
It's very true. Inter-party communication is very important.
It's very important. That's the lesson.
Strahd's DMing tips 101.
All right. Well, thank you everyone again, and everyone's stuff will be in the description below, so check them out, and have a good night, everyone. Hope you enjoyed.